Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Taste of Dragons, the Toddcast, video game podcast that all the wizards listen to. And so, for the first time, my name is Brian.
I'm Amanda.
I'm Troy.
And I'm Joe. I wanted to make fun of you for messing up your name because, that's a Jen thing. What are you doing?
I was going to say for the first time Troy, but then I went back on the joke. So I just said for the Troy. That's what happened.
It's funny.
It almost sounds like a curse word, so it's staying now.
Troy. I'm a wizard,
You are.
and that's messed up.
Do you come from the moon?
A moon wizard? No. I'm from the sun. I'm a solar wizard.
Ooh.
I don't mess with those moon wizard folks. Sorry. We make hard stands here on the sun. Also, could you please pass me a drink? It's very hot.
You can't magic a drink?
Oh, right. I'm a wizard.
You are.
Gotta remember that sometimes.
You just got to remember what kind of wizard you are, you know?
Right. The magic kind.
What kind of wizard are you, Brian?
Oh, I'm probably just like a tree wizard. I can probably just
Pretty
like
good.
grow stuff. It's nothing fun. Just like
We call those gardeners.
yeah. Yes.
I was going to go druid, but that's good too.
Gardeners. No, that's fine. What about you, Joe? What kind of wizard would you be?
The kind that stands in the way and yells, "None shall pass," but dies anyway.
Oh.
But then do you come back there? Are you that kind of wizard,
Oh, yeah.
or do you stay
I'm
dead?
like resurrected wizard Osimo.
Oh, that sounds like a really good story.
Yeah.
It might be.
Interesting.
I may have heard it somewhere.
Everyone may want to hear a little more about that later. That's
It's a long story.
oh, I don't know if I have that
It's a
time.
long, long story.
I have to get back to the sun.
He does.
The sun is also a part of my story.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
glad our people could.
Are you in,
Yeah.
are you in the same story?
I guess so.
Maybe.
Well, I mean, he's a solar wizard. He's in everybody's story, isn't he?
Oh, right.
True.
True.
He's like
It's true.
cross-dimensional.
Yeah, he might be in the extended cut.
Oh, that's even longer of a story.
Wow.
Sorry, we don't have time for that today.
All right, no problem.
What about you, Amanda? What kind of wizard would you be?
I feel like I'd be more of a witch than a wizard, but if I had to be a wizard, I think I would just be. I think I'd be all about the hats. I think I'd be like a haberdasher wizard.
I see you like one of those like concoctors wizards, like I have Newt and
That's a
robot
witch.
tails.
That's what I was thinking. That's a witch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. But maybe you're the kind of wizard that like you just do that, but nothing ever happens. You're just throwing stuff in a pot, hoping for something.
We're just making a stew.
Yeah.
Ooh.
You just taste it every single day. Oh man, this is still terrible.
Oh, but you don't get any new ingredients. It's just old ones.
Yeah.
That was a long-form stew, Days.
Yeah.
It's like a ramen broth.
Yeah, but stew gets better the older it is.
It's true.
Yeah.
The more coagulated stew gets, usually the better it is.
Also, look out for my new improv group called Longform Stew.
I like it.
We'll be playing down in Miami.
I like
Come
it.
by.
Long-form
district.
stew.
It also sounds like a gangster name. like Jimmy Two Jaws and Long Form Stew.
What are you doing here, Longform Stew?
Hey.
Get out of here. Go mix it up somewhere else.
That's ridiculous. All right. Let's get to
Now it's ridiculous.
Yes, now it's ridiculous.
I was a solar wizard. You can't even stand on the sun, yet that was okay.
But that's what makes you magical. You can stand
Oh,
on the
right,
sun.
magic. I keep
Yeah, you
forgetting.
keep forgetting.
I'm a horrible wizard.
What we've learned about Brian: magic, not ridiculous. Gangsters, ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm white. Yes. Well, let's get into the games that we've been playing this week.
What
are you playing?
I would like to say yesterday we were driving around and the song was on the radio. And so I waited the entire song until right before it started. And I was like, Joe, I think it's time for us to move on to the next segment. And then it went do-do-do-do-do-do-do. And I was like, what are you playing?
That brings me immense joy.
I was really happy. I timed it out perfectly. I remembered what verse it was that it happened on.
My joy comes from you waiting.
Oh, I did.
The good, minute and a half before the drum kicks in.
It's a lot longer than that.
It was a while. I could see he was thinking about something while we were driving.
Oh,
we're
you
sitting at the-
waited too?
I waited because it was the start of the song.
You didn't say anything about
Just-
what you were doing.
No. Just turns to me while at this red light. What are you playing?
I was like, all right, Joe, I think it's... And Joe was in the middle of a story, too, telling me.
Yeah.
And then I heard the part that was coming up. I just cut directly in the middle of it. So, Joe, I think it's time to move on to our next segment. What are you playing?
Oh, I love that.
And then I was like, all right, and what were you saying? I'm sorry.
I was listening.
Yeah, I was listening. I just was waiting.
Oh, that's so funny. I need water. I laugh too much.
Well, I will start us off then. I played Destiny 2. Shock.
Never heard of it.
Nope, never. I'm sure our listeners didn't get enough of it last week.
For more information, reference our last podcast.
Last podcast.
A good hour 20 of
Yes.
hardcore Destiny.
The entire podcast. I apologize for those of you who were not into Destiny last week, but I hope you stuck it out and actually had a good time with us.
I think we won them over last week. So
I
now
hope so.
when you're talking about Destiny, they're in. They're
Yeah,
caught up.
everyone's a Destiny fan.
everyone,
now.
yeah.
Yeah, we got everyone to be a Destiny
It's
fan.
true.
So
And theoretically, all of our listeners, and that means everybody now,
Yeah,
because
everyone.
everybody's a listener.
Everyone.
Yeah. All right, we did some good. We did
Did
some
we
good,
get
guys.
Matt Smith back?
No, actually, you're right. No, Matt. No,
yeah, you straight up insulted Jenny McCarthy too on the last one.
Nobody
So-
needs her.
God,
I
man.
feel like I should be more offended,
Harsh.
but I don't know who that is.
She's an anti-vaxxer.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, good. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Is that all she does?
No, she's really pretty and she has blonde hair. I think she's
She's
blue eyes.
also
famous
she's
for
also
being
a guest
Yeah.
judge on The Masked Singer now.
Oh, okay. But so is she a singer?
No.
No, she was like a.
Okay.
By the time I had learned her name, she was like an MTV kind of like a.
Like a personality?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
She's
okay.
a actress model from Days Old, and
Oh, okay,
yeah,
okay, okay.
is doing a lot of different TV shows and promotional stuff, and
have
not
to-
fascinating to anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anybody.
I was
I'll
really
have to
weirded out
Google
when Erin was reading her book and she was telling me about it. I'm like, she what?
Yeah.
Wait, we don't like science apparently all of a sudden. What happened here?
Let's get back to
What's going on?
games.
Games. Back to games.
Destiny 2. Let's go to Moon Wizards.
Moon Wizards.
So I've been just trying to knock out quests because apparently now you can only have a certain number of quests, and I reacced that limit very easily now.
Oh no.
Yeah, you can only have 63 quests,
Oh wow, Brian.
of which
What are
about
you doing?
of which about 48 of them are like those long form quests
Oh.
that are in the pursuits or whatever. So I'm just trying to knock those out. But those take a while.
Yeah.
So
There's so much I dislike about the quest system
Right?
in Destiny.
I agree.
I have a bunch. I know I'm never going to finish them, especially the ones that are like beat this raid, but like part of me is like, I don't want to delete it.
Oh,
I'm going to do it.
That's exactly what it is. Like like a good half of mine are ones I will probably never do, but I'm just leaving it there in case. You never know.
I prefer at least those that give you goals that are just hard to get to. It's the ones that are really obtuse.
Yeah.
They're like a riddle. And maybe you were halfway to figuring out this riddle, but then a couple months pass by.
Yeah.
And now you look at this quest and it's just garbage words.
Yeah,
Oh,
just
yeah.
fight the jackal at midnight. And you're like, what? What was I doing?
Yeah, none of it makes sense.
Yeah. There's no time in what?
Yeah. Taking a certain coin to a certain location, none of
Yeah.
which you've heard of. Like, yeah.
Yeah, Destiny is one of those games where you can don't ever be afraid to just look something up. That's one
Right.
of the first things I do. I'm like, oh wait, I don't know where to go. Just type it in.
Yeah. Which is like, I don't know. I feel like I don't want it to hold my hand.
Agreed.
Because I do like the aspect of the discovery of Destiny, the people who originally figured out those quests before putting them online. But at this point where a majority of the people are just looking up what to do online, just fucking save me the trouble and just put it in there.
I like a little bit of both. Like, I like if I have a quest and I don't know what to do, sometimes I'll like go look and see if I can figure something out. And then I feel really proud of myself if like I run past the thing I have to do or I figure it out myself. But I like having the option to not look it up.
Okay, that's true.
Agree. Like I like the ones where it's like, hey, go to IO, which is one of the places you can go to. Go to IO and go to this one place. It doesn't tell you anything more. It's like, okay, I can figure that out.
Yeah.
Like I'll go
Yeah.
there and I'll wander about. If it's like 2 hours, then screw this. I'm looking,
looking
it
it
up.
up.
But I'll take my time with it and I'll see if I can figure it out on my own. But if it's another one where it's just like, oh ye who comes to, it's like, all right, I'm
The
just looking this
Eldrin
up.
of
Yeah. nah, screw that. So
As
yeah, that's
long
what-
as you're having fun.
I am
That's what
having
matters.
a whole blast with it still. It's
Good.
great. And then Iron Banner is also going on.
Iron Banana.
Iron Banana. It'll be going on for once this releases tonight and tomorrow.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah, we're
Oh,
releasing
right, because
on.
it releases on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
I was like, I need more than 2 days, Brian.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, we're okay. We're in the future now.
we are. So yeah, Destiny.
Yeah,
That's what
Iron
I've been
Banner
playing.
is a cool time. It's a PvP, and it's a chance to get like really awesome looking loot.
Oh yeah,
Oh, the armor's so dope.
But you got to commit to that week. You have 1 week to get it,
got 1 week.
and you got to go hard
You do.
into that PvP.
Yeah, so that's what I'll be doing this week.
Can I join you?
Absolutely.
Yes. Mandy, you want to come?
Yeah.
Yes.
I still have like 15 tokens from last time that I didn't turn in. I wonder if they still work.
They do.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Joe, you want to come?
I'm going to watch.
All right.
Yeah.
We need a historian.
I got you guys.
Tell our tales. You are our bard.
It is what I do.
I like it. All right. That's what I've been playing. Joe, what did you play?
I went back to Link's Awakening because I decided if I was going to play The Witcher 3, I had to finish that game first. I've just walked around doing everything you could possibly do over and over and over again because I don't want to finish. And last night I was like, all right, I got to finish this. So I'm like 2 rooms away from the end. And I'm kind of sad about it because it's like, I don't want to go wake up the windfish. I don't want to go have the egg move. I don't want to do it. I just want to play this game forever. It's got to stop.
Yeah.
It's got to stop. So I think probably after rehearsal tomorrow, that is when I will be finishing Link's Awakening.
All right.
But The Witcher's exciting.
Oh, I'm very happy about it.
I mean, basically, they're the same game. Link's Awakening, The Witcher. I mean, tell me, do you have a sword in Link's Awakening?
You know what?
Do you have a sword in The Witcher?
Yeah, and you do fall and die if you fall off of walls into holes and things. So, yeah.
Would you say there are monsters
There are definitely monsters in both.
Link's Awakening? Yeah.
There's magic.
There's magic, some hunting,
You
some
know what? The
exploration.
Witcher doesn't have a boomerang, though.
I would love a Witcher game in the style of Link's Awakening
Oh my
with
goodness.
little tiny Geralt.
Really a cute little Nendoroid looking guy. Yes. I would play that.
He's so angry and so cute.
Grouchy face, little scars. He's so cute. But yeah, that's basically. I haven't got to play much this week, but that's what I've got to play.
Have you played The Witcher before?
Yes.
Okay, so you're and all the DLC and everything.
I've never played any of the DLC.
Okay, then,
I played the game when it came out, and I don't even remember finishing it, to be honest. So I think I did. I just don't remember it at this point.
Right.
I can't even remember what system it came out for yesterday while we were talking about it. Because had I realized it was a remastered version was out for the PS4, or not remastered, but like they had
It's a complete edition.
like a complete edition had already come out for the PS4, I would have bought that a long time ago and just played it on the PS4. But I bought it for the Switch because that's funny. And it probably won't look great, but I don't play anything docked on my Switch, so it's not really going to matter much for me.
Right, yeah.
It would have been on a tiny screen anyway while he plays Destiny. It's fine. This is fine.
It's fair. All right. Troy, what about you now?
Well, I played a video game this week. Surprise.
Ooh.
I know. I decided to play at least one. And this is a game created by the developers Pixel Plus. It is Concrete Genie, a PlayStation 4 exclusive. It costs around $30 and is worth every single penny.
Nice.
That I've spent with it this week. Joe, imagine that you're a teenager. Okay, go back to those teenage years.
I'm there.
And you lived in a fishing town that was hustling and bustling. You would run back and forth. There was friends you would have, your parents, all over the place, and there was a little seal named Cecil that you would be like, "What's up, Cecil?" And it'd be like, "Roar, roar." That's not a.
I'm down.
That's not a seal at
Cecil
all.
and I are friends.
Arf, arf. That's
Yeah.
still a dog.
No. Seals sound like dogs. That's
Yeah, I
just
say they
a
make
seal.
barking sounds.
Yeah, they go.
Yeah.
they-
Yeah, all right, I'm gonna work on my seal. And then some pollution comes in.
Oh no.
And people start feeling kind of bad, fear, little mistrust, hope starts leaving, and it manifests itself with as these purple vines that overtake the town. Industry is closed, everybody leaves. You no longer have this beautiful home. Everyone had to move away because the industry's dead. Now it's just a ghost town. But you're a teenager, and this happened when you were a kid. So now you're a teenager and you just want to hang out at this place that you used to have so many fond memories of, except it smells. And there are bullies everywhere just trying to punk you. Ooh. Now, eventually, they punk you so bad they lock you in a haunted lighthouse. And in this haunted lighthouse is a ghost. You may hear it now.
It's possible that could be the ghost.
But you find this magical paintbrush. And you find an old drawing you made when you were a kid in that lighthouse. And so you redraw it on the wall, and it comes to life and gives you powers, painting powers. That is the setup for this game, and it is remarkable. It is beautiful in every aspect. Not only is the story really robust, of just the idea of things that are lost you can bring back and make new, but also in the gameplay. You run around in this game. It's a third-person game. And you were given this magical brush that you can go into paint mode and paint on any wall you want. And you have a sketchbook of certain things you can draw, grass, trees. and you move the sensor so that you actually draw these things. But they're nice to you because you don't actually have to draw these things. So if it's a tree and it's a beautiful tree with like leaves and all that, instead of having me like actually draw like every leaf or branch, I can just point at the screen and then like paint upwards, and then a magical, beautiful tree will appear as if I drew it.
That's nice.
Same thing with apples and vines and icicles and mountains. You have this whole world as a canvas to just paint these amazing, electrifying, like neon paintings on. And the whole premise is just to try and bring life back to this place that had been hit so hard by, economy and pollution and bad feelings.
Yeah.
And all while trying to avoid these bullies. My favorite part of this game are the creations, the genies. Around town, you find these genies, you bring them back to life, and then you get to like decorate them. You can put horns on them, tails on them, and they kind of look like mini versions of Where the Wild Things Are. Those like funky monsters.
Cool. Yeah.
They're like little versions of that. And you like paint them, and you're like, that looks good. And then you bring them to life, and they get arms and legs, and they go, and then they want things. Maybe they want an apple, so you paint them an apple. Maybe they want to sit by a fire, so you paint a fire, and then they'll warm their hands next to it, and they'll be like, thanks. And then they'll help you out throughout the city, push things or puzzle solve and whatnot. Story's amazing. Gameplay is amazing. The look of it is remarkable, of just the vibrancy of the colors in contrast with the drab of the town. And also the story goes places. It very much could have been just all right, everything is bad now, make it good. But they actually go very deep with the characters and the bullies and yourself to really kind of flesh out the stereotypes and whatnot. So, man, like it's not a long game, but it's one of those best case scenarios for quality over quantity, because this game doesn't need to be any longer than it was.
Yeah.
And it was perfect for what it was.
Nice.
So yeah, a remarkable experience, and it's in VR. So
wow.
When I get back, optional, when I bust out the VR later this year, maybe I'll put it back in, because I can only imagine how much more beautiful it will be in a 3D space.
So is this like Okami, the teenage years?
This is modern Okami.
Yeah.
Much more angst.
Yeah.
When you brought up the paintbrush, I was going to ask you, like, do you strap that to your back and then squirt the pollution with it, like Mario Sunshine style? I was waiting for like it sounds a lot. At first, it sounds a lot like pollution hitting the town, and like it's like wow, it's drab color and it's like sad, like until you can wipe all that pollution away.
Yeah.
It's like whoa.
That is pretty similar. Yeah, actually. Less Yoshi vomiting, though.
That's good. That part was weird.
I don't know if that's a good thing.
Brian's like, I was kind of into it.
Yeah, that's fine. Yoshi's always sick. Yeah, let's go with that. All right, well, cool. That sounds like a pretty awesome game, actually, because I saw you playing it, and I was like, hey, Troy, how is that game? And he explained it to me a little bit, and I was like, oh, that does sound really awesome, because I'd heard of it. I just never actually watched it or haven't seen any gameplay of it. So.
Yeah, it makes you feel like you are a brilliant artist.
Look at that line I drew. It's a tree.
Woo!
Use your imagination. Well, nice. And then Amanda, what do you got for us?
So I picked up Apple Arcade last week, so I've been dabbling with a few of the Apple Arcade games, and the one that I played this week was Pilgrims by Amanita Design. And it was super fun. It's like this hand-drawn point-and-click adventure game. It doesn't take very long to get through it, but you can play the same scenes over and over and over again, and make different choices and get different solutions to the puzzles. And it's super fun. So while I was playing it, I'm like this little guy, and you collect cards. So whenever you pick up an item, it's a card. So I helped this little devil thing kidnap a priest because he stole. They were playing cards, and then the devil won. So he's like, "Well, you have to give me your soul." And there's no dialogue in the game, so they're just all like, and you just like little pictograms.
Typical devil.
So like I go up to the priest, and he's really angry at me, and then like I drugged
Typical
him, and then I
priest.
tied him up with rope, and then dragged him away. But the picture of it's so like adorable that it's one of those games where like you'll do really horrible things, but then it'll just be like kind of cute and like.
Is there a goose in this game as well?
No, that would be very funny though. I beat up an old woman with a broom.
Yikes.
After listening to Troy's game, I realized that this one doesn't paint me in a positive light.
Paint.
And there's a dragon in the game.
Ooh.
So,
Wait a second. There's a dragon in the game?
there is a dragon in the game.
Okay.
It's a possible ranking.
Yeah.
But the cool part of the game is definitely the loop. Is you play it through once, and then it's not very long, and then they give you a button to be like, play again, and you're like, what? And then you play it again, and you're like, oh, I didn't have to do that. I can try doing this, or I try maybe instead of hurting this person, I can try helping them, or maybe instead of being friends with this person, I'll be friends with that other person, and they'll give me different things and different abilities. And
does it seem like every time, like even though you're replaying the game and doing different decisions, is there like a overarching theme that you're getting from the multiple playthroughs that is coinciding?
No, it's definitely simpler than that.
Okay,
and that's not necessarily a detriment to the game. It's good for what it is. It's fun, and I think the simplicity adds to it rather than takes away from it.
great.
Nice. Yeah, I was actually curious about that game as well.
It's definitely worth the sandwiches.
Yeah.
Especially because Apple Arcade is like the best sandwich value for games I've found so far, which is just like it cost one sandwich, but then they gave me like a bunch of sandwiches. And this was definitely worth like a sandwich on its own.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, good games this week, y'all.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was a nice variety from last. Well, at least 3 other ones.
There was a variety.
And we let Joe talk this week.
We did.
Yay!
Welcome back, Joe.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you did. Just like Destiny, you did spend most of last episode just watching.
It's really great. I'm not complaining. I went to edit my own voice and I was like, ooh, this is going to be easy. I like this.
Well, very cool. So we'll go on to our news segment now.
News.
News?
Yeah,
news. So let's start off, since we kind of skipped it last week. Let's start off with some PS5 stuff.
PS5. Great title.
Great stuff.
Really nailed it.
Yeah. I was really thinking it was going to be something else, and then they surprised me. The
You're
PS5.
Subvert the expectations.
Yeah.
PlayStation 5. Wow.
I liked earlier in the week when they weren't confirming the name. We're like, we can't confirm it. And I was like, everyone knows what it is. Stop it.
Yeah. And then, then they had ended up coming out with like the information, or at least some information for it. And the only reason why they were doing that is because they started sending out dev kits for it that included like the new controller with the haptic feedback. And so they're like, well, we should probably get ahead of this news because.
So what do we know? What's the release?
So right now, I think the only thing we really know so far is that it's going to have a SSD drive, solid state drive,
which you mentioned earlier,
which I mentioned a couple weeks ago,
yeah.
Which is just a very fast hard drive. It's going to have haptic feedback on its controller.
That sounds exciting. Did you hear about this?
You told me about this, but maybe we should reiterate for the folks at home.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, it's like haptic feedback. So pretty much like if you're in a driving game, and you're racing, and say half of your car goes off the track and is in the dirt, and the other half is still on the road, you'll be able to feel in your hands, half of your hands or half of the controller being in the dirt and the other half not being. So it's just going to give you a much more textualized experience with its force feedback.
Correct. Yeah, and if you have a Switch, the Switch has haptic feedback as well.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, you kind of already know what it is. It's just a more advanced vibration.
The new iPhone 11 also haptic, I think, is on that. They took away 3D Touch. It's I think the iPhone 7 was when they added 3D Touch. It's the same thing if you had an iPhone 6 or the new one, I think, as well.
Okay.
I think it's haptic. I'm fairly certain.
It's a haptic, but it's not the same kind. It's a different kind of thing. But yeah. So yeah, I think there's that. What else? What did they announce? Anything else? Or I think it was mainly
something about 8K, right?
Yeah, I think there's
non-native
support.
8K support or something. It was very vague.
Yeah, it was very like, no, this is never happening.
I did find it funny that they haven't officially released the name of the controller.
Yeah.
There's been the DualShock, the DualShock 2, the DualShock 3, the DualShock 4, but they haven't released the name for the next PlayStation 5 controller.
It could be anything.
And they refuse to. They're like, you tell us.
It could be anything.
Could be anything.
What if they don't? What if they it's the True Shock?
It's the Play controller.
What if it's just called the Untitled controller and it's just white?
With a little bit of orange.
Little tiny bit of orange in one of the corners.
Yeah.
Actually, the only sound it makes is the honk.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's a dedicated honk button on it. I'd be okay with that.
Can't say I wouldn't buy it.
And then we got a little bit more news about Google Stadia. It is launching on November 19th. That is all that we got about that. Sure. So
yeah, the commercials I've seen for it, they're like, sign up now and get to play this game that I've already played, or get this game which I've already played. And not that hey, not saying that those games are not worth playing again, but they're just older games from last year that like I want to play newer games.
Yeah.
Give me something exclusive. But hey, if it gets them enough of a base so that people start developing for Stadia or whatnot, then go for it.
Yeah, if it gets some people in, kind of like with phone games, if it gets some people in who never, never wanted to shell out for a console, but they have, a Chromecast, this is maybe a way to get them into it, and then maybe get them to do console gaming as well.
I feel like they need to have something original though, like the way that Apple did and the way that Disney's doing.
Correct.
Like they have the stuff that you've seen a lot of times, but also they have something new that you haven't seen that you can only see if you get that service.
Agreed.
And I just don't see that with Stadia.
Yeah, I don't see because I know they are developing it, but there hasn't been anything that they've come out with that's just like, oh wow, yeah, I have to get that on Stadia.
The only thing that's drawing me in is like I'm curious about the tech and how it works.
Yeah,
that's about it.
Yeah, and it's kind of bad timing too, because a lot of ISPs or internet providers, they're now starting to put caps on your limits.
Oh,
so if you go over a certain amount of data, you now have to pay more, per however many gigabytes you go over. And so since this is streaming, you're just going to be using nothing but gigabytes on your internet. So I don't know.
our internet isn't good enough. I can say like playing online games is fine, and we'll have dropouts occasionally. But if everything was coming through, I don't think ours would be. And we have the best internet we can for our area.
Yeah, and that's the other thing.
We do. That makes me sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll see how it goes. As always, we wish them the best.
Yeah.
Also, I'm just because I really love this game. Outer Wilds came out on PS4 on October 15th.
Not to be confused with Outer Worlds,
correct,
which is coming out in like a week.
Next year.
Next year. That's what I said.
Well, next year on I believe it's some platforms, and I think it's in a couple of weeks for other ones.
Right.
So it's a timed release. I just can't remember off the top of my head which one's which.
Gotcha.
But yeah, you're right. Actually, it does come out in a couple of weeks. But Outer Wilds came out on Tuesday, so pick it up if you haven't played it yet. If you don't,
he's looking directly at me.
I'm looking directly at Troy.
He's burning his intent into my soul.
It's a great game.
I have a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Before the next big game comes out.
Yeah,
I can make that happen.
Yeah, carve out a little time for it. It's worth it. And then also a little thing happened with Fortnite.
Just a little thing.
just a
little blip.
Just a little blip where it wasn't. They had it so it wasn't working for about 36 hours.
Yeah. You all probably seen it everywhere, but literally they had a live event, which is my favorite thing about Fortnite.
Yeah,
is how they do their live events. Like the big cube appeared and was rolling around, and then like something exploded, like a volcano exploded, like live. Like you had to be in the server to see it. Like that's cool.
Oh yeah,
and only people that were there got to experience that.
Which is a little bit of a bummer, because didn't so many people log in that they had PlayStation Network issues? Or was that after?
I think that was afterwards.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
This is like leading up to the event, and they told everyone like, "Hey, this is the end. This is the end." And so a lot of people were online, and literally when the time clicked away, the entire screen just kind of like glitched and moved around, and then just like a toilet just swirled into a black hole. And the thing is, even if you were on the menu screen, not in the game itself, if you were just changing your costumes, the wording started changing on your screen. It started glitching around. Things were like happening, and then it swirled around like a toilet, and then turned into the black hole and just stayed that way for like 2.5 days.
Yeah, I think it was 36 hours roughly is what the total time was.
It was awesome.
Yeah, like it was really cool. I mean, I don't play Fortnite, but I do love watching the videos of all the different events. And so I watched the menu one, like Troy was just saying, and it was really cool actually, because again, you're just in a menu, you're just waiting for stuff, and then even then, like something happens in the background, and then it starts sucking up each individual menu item like at once. And I was like, wow, this is really cool.
Really nice.
Like, that was really cool that you guys did that.
They deleted their entire Twitter account.
Oh,
and
that's
just
funny.
Posted a picture of the black hole on it.
Yep.
Or in all their content, not the account.
Yeah.
They committed hard to this this move, which I can only imagine was just them being like, we gotta breathe.
Yeah.
Give us a day. We need one day to put the new thing up, but just a day to relax. Because come on, Fortnite.
They all went on vacation. They all just they just stayed home for a day and took a nap. And they're like, we'll just do this once a year.
Mm-hmm. and then when you tried to log on, though, you would just be the black hole. That's all you would see.
Right.
But they actually had a hidden Konami code, which, in case you don't know, is up, down, down, left, right, BA, start. So if you did that, a mini game would start, and you could shoot. It was like a little space shooter that was just really dumb. But like Monday because this happened on Sunday during the middle of the day, and so Monday on Twitch, there's just a whole bunch of streamers that were just streaming a black hole because they're all waiting for something to happen. Because they never said when the next thing's going to happen. They were just like, oh, stay tuned. Let's see if something happens.
It was like, at first, before they figured out what to do, it was like looking at zombies. Like literally, they just like lost their entire purpose. Was just like, well, ambling, randomly going places. Like it was really funny until finally they started just airing old clips of themselves or having like black hole parties or something.
Yeah, it was actually because I watched a couple of those as well, and some of them were pretty funny. Like there was one of the people I follow. He doesn't even do Fortnite at all, but he was like, I'm gonna get in on this. So he made it like a little like on screen thing. His thing is like a panda. So he had a panda inside of a backpack, and what it was doing was the panda was reaching down inside the backpack, came out with the dollar, and then he made it look like he was stuffing it in the black hole. And that was just on repeat for about an hour, just throwing money into a black hole.
Only Fortnite can literally turn off their servers and still have like a lot of viewers.
Yeah, I think the total amount of people who were watching on Twitch was like almost 1 million of concurrent viewers just watching a black hole.
That's real power.
That is.
They said that they had a lot of concerned parents when it happened.
Yeah.
Because they were like, wait, I gave my kid money. Like, they had e-currency. What happened to the money that I gave my child?
Let's not forget, Fortnite is a free game, and it is one of the most highest grossing entities on this planet. That is all parent money.
Yeah. and like they had people were calling up like PlayStation support. People were calling up Nintendo support. People were calling up all the supports because they're like, yo, what's going on with this? My kid is off today and he doesn't have anything to do. Like what's going on here? So like Nintendo, actually, I think Nintendo and PlayStation both put something on like the front of their support page. Like, hey, if you're calling about Fortnite, this is what's going on. But Tuesday morning, it actually came back up. I think at either 4 or 6 a.m. I can't remember. But it came back up. And when you logged on, it started the trailer for Fortnite Chapter 2.
Ooh.
And so showing you the new map. It's a brand new map. Showing you like a little trailer or whatever. And then it just put you in a game. It didn't put you to a menu. It just went, okay, you're in a game. So then people would just be like, all right, so it's still the oh, I'm playing. And so, yeah, when that was upon the first time you logging back in, it would just put you in a game, which I thought was pretty great. Yeah. So, yeah. And so a lot of the new features that's going on is there's a new map, like I said. You can now fish in the game.
I don't know why you would want to do that in the middle of all that death and mayhem, but
they just got me.
Yeah.
Fortnite is a very different game than when it started.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's more like a social club.
Yeah. So like, I mean, if you wanted to, you could fish, but you can fish up like you could fish up like weapons.
Yeah.
You could fish up actual fish that would heal you or give you shields. And then you can now carry people. So you can carry either your teammates or enemies. So if you down someone, you can just carry them into safety and then revive them. Or if it's an enemy, you can carry them up to a high place and just throw them off. And then there's now an entire lake. So the shields is like it's like a fluid or whatever. So if you drink that, you get shields.
Yeah.
okay.
There's an entire lake that's that shields fluid.
What?
So if you go into the lake, it starts replenishing your shields.
Wow.
So it's
that
kind of
must
cool.
be in a really annoying fight. To
Yeah.
have there.
I agree. So I think that was most of the new stuff that I can think of. But yeah,
Good on you, Fortnite.
Yeah.
I don't dislike you. It almost made me think about re-downloading it.
Now that you can fish in the game, I think I might do it.
Ooh, gotcha. Fish night.
Yeah. I like it. And then while we're on Fortnite, I got some really big news, guys.
What's that?
Huge news. Lady Gaga on Twitter asked, "What is Fortnite?"
Oh.
We're in a new era.
New era
Chapter 2 has begun.
has begun. So I think she had 207,000 replies because it's just people vying for her to see them. You know, hey, look, this is what Fortnite is. Hey, look, this is what Fortnite is.
Do you think Fortnite paid Lady Gaga or Lady Gaga paid Fortnite?
I think Lady Gaga was genuinely just wondering what the hell's going on.
You know what? I can't. I think my brain just exploded. That's
Yeah.
That's like the chicken or the egg. Like,
Yeah.
Right?
which one of them helped the other one out by talking about it?
It's fair.
It's like she finally saw like Fortnite trending above her and was
Yeah.
like, wait, what?
What?
How have I never heard of this person?
So Ninja, the ninja,
Yeah.
the biggest Fortnite person, responded to her and was like, this is actually a really great tweet. He actually responded with, "Call me on the telephone. I'll give you 1,000,000 reasons to play You and I," which are all of
pretty
her,
great.
a whole bunch of her song titles. So she actually responded to Ninja,
Her publicist was like, this one's okay to respond to.
but she
This one's
responded
okay.
to him with, "Who are you?" No punctuation.
that's so mean.
So
my
there's no
goodness.
question mark. There was no like capital W for who are you? It was just who are you?
That's so mean because that's a choice because there's
Yeah.
a lot of other
Yeah. Yeah.
people responding
She
to her.
doesn't know who any
That
of
is-
those people are.
No,
Yeah.
someone brought her up to speed, told her who that is, why it's important, what the whole deal is, and then her response was, "All right, this is a good move," which is a great Gaga move.
Oh, it is.
That is on brand.
Oh, it is. And then also in on brand fashion for Ninja, he responded to her with name dropping Drake. So I think that was the last correspondence as of right now between the two of them. So I thought that was hilarious.
Wow.
And I agree. Out of all the 207,000 people that responded to her, she responds to the one that is
Yeah.
the Fortnite guy.
Yeah, the spokesperson.
His probably got a lot more likes or however that works on Twitter. I don't do Twitter, so I'm assuming that one got retweeted a whole lot or something.
Yeah, maybe.
It was probably the numbers that had to do with that. I'm assuming.
I don't know.
Or
Twitter.
maybe one of her people around her was like, "Oh, that's the one." It's very possible.
Yeah. I just thought that was great. Who are you?
Awesome.
So yeah, that was some fun news. And then I think what was it? Analog Pocket was announced, which is, in case you guys don't know, is a pretty much they build hardware in order to perfectly run your old hardware or your old games, I should say. So this is made to run Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance games. And then with a cartridge adapter, you can play Game Gear. Jaguar? No, not Jaguar.
Game Gear, Neo Geo, Atari, and Lynx.
There we go. Yeah, there we go. The Lynx one. So yeah, that just got announced as well, and I think it's going to be like $200, which is kind of dear, but it's going to have like a crazy like resolution screen. I think it's a 1440p screen, which is only 3.5 inches big. So it's going to be kind of stupid. But yeah, they don't emulate anything. It's actually they build their own hardware, and it perfectly runs your old games.
It's crazy because I feel like if I still had my old games, I'd be like, yeah, I have to buy this so I can play it, but I don't have any of them anymore, so I'm not that person. But I feel like if I was that person, this would be just game changing to be able to be like, oh, I can play everything on this one thing. I don't have to have a bunch of different hardware, a bunch of different pieces.
Way to see a need and fulfill that need.
Yeah.
Awesome Analog Pocket.
Yeah. Because they've already released like a Sega SG or something like that, or Sega MG. They've released a couple other ones which already do that, but it's with those specific systems. So this is something for the handheld crowd.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was just announced. And then Amanda, we had some CD Projekt Red news.
Yes, this made me very excited. Is the CEO of CD Projekt Red came out to say that there will be no microtransactions in Cyberpunk 2077. He was quoted saying something like, "None of our players like microtransactions, so why would anyone do that?" which was amazing to hear from an executive. He was like, "I can see how that would make a lot of money." He's like, "But we want to be true to our fan base, and they don't like that type of thing. So we'll probably do one big DLC expansion, but we won't do the microtransactions."
Yeah, they're like, we're going to get $20 all at once.
I'm okay if that game's more expensive than other games. I feel like they're packing it with so much that to only get it for $60 seems like not fair, which is why I get microtransactions. Generally, it's like games cost a lot of money to make, and they're not making it from.
And we haven't raised the price of games in a while.
In a long time.
Yeah.
But not that it has to be a standard, but I feel like their game could cost more money, and that's fine.
And I'm fine with that too. Like I'm fine with microtransactions as well in games if they're cosmetic or if they're like little maybe story bits. But I don't like it when they like purposely withhold something from your game, and then you like day one there's DLC or something for it. It's like just include that with the game. Like, you know, if you release a game, then you go, you know what, this did pretty well. I'm gonna develop some more stuff for it, and then 3 months down the line, hey, you want to pay me an extra $5-10? Here's some extra stuff we worked on.
Wasn't it Mass Effect 3 or 2 that had a DLC, a character for the pre-order that you wasn't in your game if you didn't get that pre-order, that DLC, and it was like instrumental to the plot.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine the game without that character.
Yeah, there was that, and then there was another game, I forget which one it was, but it actually shipped with a DLC on it. So when you purchased it on the store, it was a 1 kilobyte download, which was just to unlock it in your game.
Was it Asura's Wrath?
It might have been.
Had the ending?
Yeah, I can't remember what it was. It was just one of the games where it was like, hey, pay us $5 or $10 and you can unlock this, you know, you can get an entirely new story mode. Mm-hmm. But it was already on the disc. You guys are just paying to unlock it. That to me, I don't like, because that's just include it with your game. Mm-hmm. So yeah. All right. Well, good on CD Projekt Red. Mm-hmm. And on the Cyberpunk 2077. And then now our last bit of news, as we mentioned last podcast, there's a little bit of Blizzard, China stuff going on. Mm-hmm. It has evolved a little bit more.
Oh.
Just a little bit more. And in case you guys don't know, it all started with a player called Blizz Chung. He won a Hearthstone Grandmasters tournament. So during the winner's interview, he started saying being supportive for the Hong Kong protests that are mm-hmm. going on in China, because he lives in Hong Kong, mm-hmm. and he was, just hey, support them. And the two casters at the time like ducked their heads down below their screens. They let him finish, and then they like cut to commercial basically. And Blizzard, I think, kind of overreacted mm-hmm. a little bit, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. What they did was they took away all of his prize winnings. They banned him for a year, and I was like, all right, that's kind of harsh. I don't like that. But then for the casters, they just fired them, and I was like, yo, they didn't do anything though. Mm-hmm. Like, that's where I thought it overstepped. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, so this spawned a whole movement online,
yep.
Where a lot of people were calling for boycotts from Blizzard, and even employees were walking out. Employees of Blizzard were walking out and kind of just gathering to just stop working, just to kind of show their thoughts or their feelings on the situation.
Yeah.
And it's been a rough couple weeks for a lot of people.
Yeah.
All around.
And
in all situations.
Yeah, and like you said, some employees walked out, and then even before then, though, so Blizzard has a statue out front that has their 12 characteristics or their 12 tenets of their company, and so people showed up to work, and on that statue, people had covered up 2 of them, which was think globally and every voice matters. Yeah. They covered it up with pieces of paper and tape. And I was like, oh, if your employees are doing that, that's not good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then, so now Blizzard has come back and they're like, no, well, China's not the one that made us do it. we just studied it on our own.
The rules were there.
Yeah, the rules were there, but the rules that they were following are kind of subjective.
Mm-hmm.
They can apply that to anyone, anytime, anywhere. It seems like,
and how they, I guess, have consequences for those rules.
Correct.
Are subjective.
Yeah. So since then, they have given him the prize winnings back, and they've reduced his suspension to 6 months, and they also reduced the commentators to 6 months as well.
Right.
Which again, I don't understand the commentators at all. They had nothing to do with it.
I think the implication is that it was their job to cut it off as soon as he started talking.
Agreed.
It may be in their contract.
Chose not to do that.
Yeah. And I understand that. But I think what he said was 8 words. It was just,
I don't think it was how much he said. I think it was what
he said. Yeah.
And no, without going into too much, we do. The company that I work for does a little bit of business in China, and so I know just a little bit. And granted, I am in no way an expert.
No, none of us are.
But I think, and he even alluded to it in his statement afterwards. He's like, not only do I believe in this, but I took great personal risk to do this.
Yeah.
And I think it's because what he said is in that gray area of Chinese law where they're allowed freedom of speech, but they can't necessarily say everything.
Yeah.
So I think that's why this particular comment was so controversial, is because the Chinese government definitely doesn't agree that Hong Kong is its own unique state. And
exactly.
They don't want that to happen. And then, this is in this gray legal area. So Overwatch, Blizzard's in a weird place. And then, I don't know. It seems super, super complicated. But I can say that out of all of the things that I watched, Blitzchung, for being such a young person, handled everything just elegantly and beautifully. He got all of his prize money taken away, and they interviewed him, and he's like, "No, I understand what they did, and I think this is more important than the prize money, and I wouldn't take back what I did, but I understand Blizzard's stance, and I support them."
Yeah.
And then when they gave it back, he was like, "Well, thank you, and I very much appreciate everything you were doing." Never once was he like, boycott Blizzard. He was like, "No, I understand," and I was like,
he's obviously a big Hearthstone fan,
right? Yeah.
He's a grandmaster, so he won a grandmaster tournament, and it wasn't just what he said. He was also wearing the protesters' get up, which was a gas mask and goggles. So. Yeah, this has had long-lasting complications because they canceled a Overwatch event at Nintendo HQ in New York because they were going to have an Overwatch event on Wednesday with some of the voice actors, but they completely ended up canceling it because of this.
I'm feeling weird about this because, on one side, I was like, I want to be super supportive of freedom of speech. But on the other side, I was like, I hope everyone who's boycotting Blizzard is also doing something to support Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And not just being like, let's just boycott this video game company because I read part of this article. And being like, well, no, just take that energy into actually making freedom of speech change. Because, even if this is a problem, it's a China problem and not necessarily a Blizzard problem. But... hopefully some good stuff will come out of it.
Yeah. They even shut down Blizzard's subreddit. Blizzard subreddit shut down for, I think, a week or so. And just nobody could do anything. You couldn't read. You couldn't do anything on it. So, yeah, we'll see where this goes, especially because BlizzCon's coming up next month.
Yeah, I can't... I can't even imagine, if I worked at Blizzard today, what would I do to make this better? And I can't think of anything.
Yeah.
Even them being like, hey, we reversed it, we realized we were wrong, we put out a statement, what are you going to do? Because the internet's just on fire.
Yeah. Internet's on fire. Like I said, BlizzCon's coming up next month, which they were probably going to announce Diablo 4 and some other games possibly even Overwatch 2. So, if they were, and say they still do, all the developers that are going to be on stage are going to be taking questions from people, and they're probably just going to want it to be about the game, but it's most likely not going to be.
And that's happening everywhere, though. The NBA is also...
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
It's on the topic. So, it's what's happening.
Yeah.
So you got to deal with it.
I got to say, Blizzard was on fire until they released the video of Zenyatta stretching, and then it calmed down just a little bit. They were like, "We're really angry." Oh, that's so cool! Did you guys see that? No, we're still really angry.
Yeah. This is Overwatch. This isn't Hearthstone. It's okay. Yeah. So we'll see where this goes. We'll if anything else happens that's major, we'll cover it in future episodes. So yeah. And now that's it for the news.
You know, Joe.
Yeah.
I was babysitting my niece earlier this week, and I decided to make some breakfast. So I was making an omelet, right? So I put a little bit of cheese in there. It was nice and zesty. I got a couple of sauteed mushrooms. Got that in there as well. You know, a little bit of green peppers. But I was missing an ingredient. Something that was, I don't know, something that definitely had, like, punch you with some flavor. The good kind of punch.
It sounds like a Western omelet. Like it's missing.
Yeah, it was missing
like
something.
Like
yeah.
Something meaty, like the.
I needed something maybe a little salty. Something. I can't put my finger on it.
Maybe some tasty sausage or something.
Yeah, something tasty, but not sausage though.
Sausage.
Yeah. No meat for this.
No
this
meat
one.
for this Western. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
so something tasty though. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely something that has some weight to it.
Yeah,
maybe
I don't know what
like,
though.
Maybe something like How about you,
What do
Amanda?
you think, Mandy?
Oh, is it like a tasty topic?
Ooh, This is the best. So this week, Manda, you have our tasty topic, correct?
I do. I thought it would be fun to talk a bit about video games, and whenever people talk about the positive impacts of video games, one of the things that they always touch on is the creativity that's allowed in video games, is that kind of allow you to be imaginative and creative. So I thought we'd go around the room and talk a bit about something creative that you've done inspired by video games, whether you've created something in a video game or created something because of a video game. Like, how have you let your artistic or creative flair fly with video games in mind?
Nice.
I mean, this may be kind of basic, but I remember I may have been in high school, but I was probably in college. I think for my own pride, I want to say I was in high school, but I don't think I was. I wrote a fan fiction.
Nice.
Based on the Tekken universe,
Ooh.
with the Mishimas and the.
Is that the one
Paul
with the grandpa
Phoenix?
that throws people in volcanoes? Okay.
Yeah.
That's the one. But it wasn't just enough. Anyone can just make a Tekken fanfic. I wanted to combine it with another fighting game that was called Bloody Roar.
Ooh.
I loved that game series.
One of my favorites.
That Bloody Roar is
of
a
all
great
time.
game.
It's so good.
Oh.
You turn into animals and you grrr
It's great.
at them.
Was King a prominent person in this fanfic?
No.
Ah, boo.
Oh.
No, sorry, man.
Yeah.
Get on my fanfic. Write your own fanfic.
Just saying, King's, he has an animal head sometimes.
Paul Phoenix was the main character.
Okay.
It was two main characters. Paul Phoenix was the Tekken side of things. And the idea was two stories happening at the same time, and then elements from the other franchises would mix in. So it was like a Tekken story with Paul Phoenix, and then a Bloody Roar story with Gado, who was the lion, the guy who turns into a lion. And then then they would have elements from either game kind of fall into them, and then they would all come together at one point.
Okay.
I never finished writing it, but I had aspiration.
How many pages did you get in?
Man, I would say maybe close to 50.
So, that to me, that's finished.
It was 2 stories.
It's too long.
Nah, man. You don't know the scope of where I was going. I had every character.
How many pages do you think it would have been at the end of this?
I don't know, man. Hundreds.
Hundreds?
Hundreds. It would have been a full book.
Wow.
I say. I would go to bed sleeping about this. I would wake up and do it. It was a very fun time in high school.
That's really funny. All right. Amanda, how about you?
I went back and forth about what was the coolest thing that I've done, and I couldn't decide. So I decided to talk about something I've done recently. Is during Dragon Quest Builders, one of the achievements is to build a room underground. So you just dig as deep as you can, and then when you can't dig any further, you have to build a room with a door. Mm-hmm. I built a hotel with an indoor swimming pool and a little minecart ride, so like this underground amusement park, and it was brilliant. I spent so long just under the ground, like nothing to do with the game, nothing to do with achievements. And every time I'd walk, I'd be like, oh, but what if I put more flowers in the lobby? What if I made a flower arrangement in the center of the lobby, so when they come in, and like the characters don't go down there because it's too far away from like objectives. Mm-hmm. So it was just me under the ground making out dead. It was cool. It was really good. There was you got in because there was a waterfall, and then it was like, okay, above the ground there was a pool, and then in the middle of the pool was a hole, and it was just the size of a person, and then you dipped down and you went all the way down a waterfall and then splashed into the pool under the ground, and then you can walk into the hotel. It was cool.
I would stay there.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Yeah. Like, how much would you charge for that?
For that experience? Oh,
yeah,
my
like that
gosh.
experience, that room. Like, how much a night would you charge?
You know what? Everyone can come. $200.
$200?
No. I don't want children there. $1,000.
Oh, so it's going to be the Star Wars resort. Great.
Yeah, great.
Mandy, my favorite thing that you've created inspired by video games are the Witcher Renaissance costumes.
Oh, I did do that. That's a much better one.
They're really good.
I feel ashamed that this was my topic and I didn't think of that.
Like, I thought of that, and then and eventually I was like, wait, I didn't make those.
I made Troy the Ursine armor from Witcher 3, and I made me the cat armor for Witcher 3 so we could tool around the Renfest as Witcher characters.
Nice.
I have the amulet, the Witcher amulet as well. Oh, it's my favorite. It's my favorite costume. It's so good.
That's pretty nerdy. I like it.
Yeah.
For myself, besides me just creating games, because I do love to create myself a game, in game, probably the most creative / nerdy thing I've done is there's a game called APB Reloaded, and it's just a shooting game. It's but you either choose one side or the other, so you can either choose the cops or the bad guys, and so. But it's a kind of like an open world, kind of like a planet side type of thing, where it's a giant map. You drop in and you'll be whoever's around you. You can kill, the cops, or you can help out your friends and, rob places or whatever. But inside that game, they had a I don't know, like a music making thing. So you could create music, or at when you respawn or when you die, you can play like a little tune. Like, it's like 3 seconds long roughly. But there was nothing that was already created in there. You had to create it yourself or buy it from somebody else. And so when I was in there, I was like, man, I would really love some Final Fantasy stuff going on in this. I should let me search on the auction site. Let me search, on the play site. Let me see if somebody already created it. Nobody did. So I was like, all right, well, I guess I got to start to creating. And so you create it you have a bunch of different instruments, but you have to create it note by note and, to the beats. So I ended up looking up piano music to Final Fantasy, like the dun 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 da 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 da. That's not Final Fantasy, but you know what I mean. Yeah, I know.
Thanks for the
victory theme.
Yes, thank you.
Nice summon, Joe.
Yes,
Summon Joe for that one.
I did. My wires got crossed on that one. But yeah, it was like that and a couple other sounds. So I was like, oh, yeah, I'm just going to create these. So I looked up the sheet music. I went into there. I created it all, put all of that stuff in there. And then I sold it. And I made a lot of money in that game.
Seriously? Oh, in game.
In game. Because you can sell it to other players on the auction house. And so you just sell a copy of it. So you still have the original, but, so they can't create copies off of that. They can only use that and then have it. So I made a whole bunch of money in that game. That's actually how I made almost all my money in that game, as I was creating just random stupid like Final Fantasy sounds. I think I created a couple. I think I did do a couple of Zelda sounds, a couple of anime sounds as well. Just a bunch of just random 3-second things, not actual full-on orchestral stuff, because that actually is sold for less. Even though created way more, because when you die, you hear that a lot more often than just background stuff. So yeah, that's the nerdiest thing I did. And I'm not a musician. I mean, I played the drums, which is not a musician.
Dang. Well,
just are musicians.
They're totally. Thank you. We almost lost our drummers there.
Troy played the drums.
Yeah. So I'm with you. I played the xylophone as well, but
I wouldn't call myself a drummer though.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, I wouldn't consider myself a musician, because I myself didn't really learn the craft as much.
Okay.
So let me go that way.
Yes.
And so yeah, I don't have any musical tonality or intuition of it, but I looked it up. And I was like, oh, somebody else already did this. Let me just copy this.
Nice.
So that's what I did. That was my nerdiest thing that I've done inside of something. And then Joe.
It's very difficult to decide on one thing
Uh-huh.
that I've ever done that was like so nerdy that was from video games. Two come to mind though. When Luigi's Mansion came out, oh man, three come to mind. First thing, Luigi's Mansion came out, I built one of the Poltergeist 3000s. Like out of like random stuff in my house, like cardboard, duct tape, the whole 9 yards. And I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. And my mom was like, what are you doing with all those parts? I used to have parts for everything. Like I used to just build stuff. And sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. It did not work. It was a broken old vacuum. But I was like parading around like it was a Ghostbuster pack and I was going to like, I don't, and I was far too old for that kind of ridiculousess.
You're never too old.
I had insomnia. So like I would just be up just doing stupid things. So that was one of the first things that came to mind was like, oh, I did build that. I was very excited about it when I built it too. And I was like, look at this great thing. And like a week later, I was like, I don't care anymore. I used to make clothing in Animal Crossing. Like I would make like the t-shirts that I wore in real life and the nerdy like superhero costumes and stuff from comic books. I would make them in Animal Crossing. And like we would go back and forth to friends' houses and we would all trade each other's stuff. Like Brian used to make Tate shirts.
Yeah, I was about to say, actually, I made the shirt that you're wearing
right now. Brian made in Animal Crossing from in his town, and I took it from his town, and it was great. But I think the thing I'm most proud of, though, is something that I do with everybody here at the table. I get to help make and create pieces of the 3000 Brigade shows, and I do a lot of the sound design, and especially with the first. Well, actually, now thinking about it, I think I'm the only person who probably does the sound in the show. Yeah, but I like to make mixes of different pieces of music, and I add in lots and lots and lots of ridiculous video game sounds, and they're from all video games and all places, and I really, really appreciate getting to make music and put the show together so that my friends can act it out because they're amazing. And I think that's probably like the most nerdy thing that I do. But I also am the manager of a comic shop, so I mean, like, really, like, who's going to judge me on that one?
The comic shop is not, part of games, though.
No, it's true. But I'm like, I'm a super nerd. So like, I'm a nerd in my professional life. So like, what I do and outside of it is I mix a lot of music. I mix a lot of video game music into other video game music with video game sound effects on real music.
With some video game characters in them.
I do. It's ridiculous. But I am most proud of the 3000 Brigade. Being part of that and being able to make that come to life in my own, like my little part of it is very fun. I love it.
Yeah.
It's funny, until you mentioned it, I was like, that doesn't count. And I was like, oh, that totally counts.
Right?
That's exactly what my question was.
I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, man, it really doesn't count, does it? I'm like, no, I mix lots of video game music for that. I think it does count.
That's all about video games. I guess for our guests at home that have never heard of the 3000 Brigade, is we do a live action stage show at local Florida conventions with fighting and combat and dancing, and it's silliness. And everyone at the table is a member of that.
Correct. Yeah.
Yep. The Brigadiers.
That's right. Been doing this forever.
It's great. It's so fun.
Yeah. So, yeah, I like it. I like it, Joe. Nice answer. Good answer. Good answer.
Good answer.
All right. Well, nice tasty topic there, Amanda. Mm-hmm. Very nice. Very nice. And now that brings us to our last segment.
Do. It's the dragon of the week. Yeah, don't you freak. It's the dragon of the week. It'll take a tweak for the dragon of the week.
Dragon of the week.
Dragon of the week is our chance to shine a little spotlight on industry professionals who make the games that we play and talk about every week.
We do.
Or contribute to the games we talk about.
Absolutely. And this week, I believe it is you, Troy, that has our Dragon of the Week 2 weeks in a row.
I know.
Coming through.
Double feature creature. So I'm going with the Dragon of the Week. I don't think we've had a Dragon of the Week like this before.
Ooh.
This is going to be the first, yeah. Just now I mentioned, people who make games. This person does not make games.
Oh. Blasphemous.
I know. I'm going to shine a little love on some journalism.
Ooh.
And talk about one of my favorite journalists of all time, Jeff Gerstmann. Jeff Gerstmann is a journalist who got a start back in the 90s with the original GameSpot when it was Video GameSpot.
That's right.
The time. And he started there and quickly rose to become more prominent in the ranks there until he was finally one of the editor-in-chiefs. And And that was, for me personally, when I kind of got into games entertainment outside of video games. I've always loved video games growing up. I've always enjoyed playing them, but I never always had access to them as a kid because I don't own the money. Yeah. And apparently my parents think we need like a new dishwasher or something. Whatever, Mom.
Whatever.
But luckily, in the late 90s, early 2000s, the internet was really starting to pick up with the type of content you could put on there. It was not just weird chat rooms. I mean, that was still there, but it wasn't just weird chat rooms. And so I got turned onto the site GameFAQs, which was a place I would go to learn Marvel vs. Capcom moves because there's nowhere else to look at that time for me. I didn't have money to even buy magazines to tell me that stuff. So I would go there, and that website was a sister website to GameSpot. And so I eventually clicked on some link. Something caught my eye eventually to get me out of, FAQs for games and game guides into actual just entertainment content information about games. And all of a sudden I felt this hole filled. And that hole was all of these games I didn't know exist or that I didn't have access to play. I could now read about other people playing them, read reviews. I learned about E3 through this game site, about just games coverage and game developers and game writers. Like I got to learn so much more. It took me to the next level of my video game appreciation and entertainment. And Jeff Gerstmann was a main part of that team that was working in those early days at GameSpot. Eventually he rose to become one of the main head honchos there, until one day in 2007 he reviewed a game and was fired. Was straight up fired from this place.
I remember this, yeah.
And there was a lot of controversy over why he was fired, and no one really knew, and he couldn't talk about it because of lawyer stuff. But eventually, it was able to come out what happened. Kane and Lynch 2 came out, and he reviewed it and didn't give it a favorable review. They had just gotten new executives at GameSpot, who, with their marketing team, was heavily pushing that game on their website. So the publishing from the marketing from Kane Lynch was like, what are you doing? We paid you a bunch of money. How are you giving this game not a good score? Pressure. And the new executives kind of looked at Jeff and said, you're out.
Yep. Guys, I think he gave the game like a 46 out of 100 or something like that. And then
great.
Yeah, that was like featured prominently, on the website.
Right.
But then all around it is just Kane and Lynch 2, like banner ads. I think the entire website was completely converted over to Kane and Lynch 2.
Get ready. It's going to blow your mind.
That's right. Coming out Tuesday or whatever it is. And then it's just like
4.5.
Yeah. It was like, oh.
So they kind of brought him into a room and was like, hey, you got to change the score. And he was like, it's not going to happen. And then what they did is what they did.
Yep.
So this is a guy who's been dedicated to games. He's been to every E3 ever. He's been he's been involved in video games since he was like 16 years old. And now his dream job of being on a video game website and starting things like a podcast before a podcast was a thing. Yeah. Starting things like radio shows, TV shows. They started doing video segments where they would have people play games. Like who's going to watch people play games? They were kind of on the forefront of video technology and on the internet. So now he's without a job, and about a year goes by and he finally decides he's got to do something. And so he pretty much rallies his a bunch of friends from GameSpot who were kind of also big players there, and they didn't like the way things went with him, and they rallied together to create their own website called giantbomb.com, which came out in 2008. And from there, he was in charge now. He's the boss. And that's the thing that I'm very much into that website. But the things that I do like about it that they've done is they've kind of taken a look at journalism with games and re-examined the way that, I guess, modern times would. Instead of looking at this 10-point system like Metacritic and being like, I don't know, is this like a 7.5 or an 8? Like, how do you iterate that?
Yeah.
What does that even mean? He pretty much was like, knock it 5-point system. Each point, if you can tell it, you can write it, or if it's going to go with your personality.
Okay.
And he was very much on trying to perpetuate the idea that the number doesn't matter. It's getting to know the people behind the numbers, getting to know the journalists. So if I get to know, Jeff very well, so then I know when he reviews things, I know what perspective he's coming from. And then I know, based on his views, what my views are. And I get a really good sense of whether or not I would enjoy that game.
It's great when you watch videos and you're like, oh, he likes it, I won't like it. If he likes it, I won't like it.
Yeah.
Which is much better than just like a 3 or a 7 or an 8. Like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, getting some random journalist to review this, but we don't know who that person is. So we don't even know if we agree with them or not.
Yeah. And so he kind of, pushed that button and really started putting content for it to get to know the journalists on his website more. He also brought in the community. He created a whole wiki site. It's how I get all the dragons every week.
Yeah.
Is the community there pretty much looked up every dragon they could find and then put a link to it so that you could, if you just type in dragons, you'll have every video game a dragon's ever been in.
You're giving away your secrets here, Troy.
Oh man. They also started what they call Quick Looks, which was the progenitor of what you would call Let's Plays, which is the progenitor of streaming. Yeah. Pretty much. We're gonna sit and we're gonna play a game and we're gonna talk over it, and you're gonna watch and have fun. They were kind of the pioneers in that, and there's been a few magazine articles out that you can find that kind of give them credit for kind of being on the forefront of that form of entertainment. And so, yeah, that's all kind of this website and his kind of brainchild that spawned from. And so, yeah, because of that way of trying to put the journalists into the reviews so that you get a better understanding, putting forward technology so that video is so critical into content, but also relaying what a video game is, and also just being really entertaining and
He's
just
very funny.
Oh yeah,
just a fun all around dude.
Yeah, and you probably, everybody who is listening to this knows what Giant Bomb is, even if they don't. Because if you have seen Blinking Guy, that is from a Giant Bomb video. And the reason why his face is so blown up is because that was his video feed. That's how big his video feed was on the screen.
It was his take.
It was his take on it. It was blink, blink, what?
Yeah.
And so somebody took that off of that video, and now the rest is history.
Yeah. Blinking White Guy, also known as Drew Scanlon. Yep. Is part of the Giant Bomb family. And yeah, so it's a site that I still go to, and it always boggles my mind. And I'm so happy that Mandy has been able to get to know the cast of characters from that website, because it's literally something that I've been listening to since I was 16. Now, the names have changed, but like Jeff and like the core people that are there, I've been listening to since I was 16, since I actually was in high school. When I was writing that fanfic.
Yeah.
Just same year. Same exact year. And sometimes it really boggles me when I really think that now I'm in my 30s and I've just been kind of with this group of people since then. Yeah. Really inspires me to dig more into games. Inspired me to be on this podcast right now. And it inspires me to kind of just think more about my hobbies.
and it's beautiful when you meet another person who also listens to Giant Bomb. You're like, oh, I was watching this thing with it, and they're like, on Giant Bomb? And I was like, yeah! It was like you're instantly that person's best friend.
Yeah.
You know about that? Fantastic.
You share glances and then just nod. Yeah. And then Troy, I know this is about your dragon, but Troy also has a yearly review on Giant Bomb.
That is true. That is true.
That covers all of his games, movies, TV shows, and music that he has listened and played for the entire year.
Yeah, I date it and I rate it and I write a little blurb on it and I put it all together into one super long list.
Yeah.
And Giant Bomb also has like a little this is more like an advertisement, gosh.
That's okay.
Has a a nice little blog feature, so I can have my own blog on there. And so every year it's a very long December 25th to the 31st is a very long week for me.
Yeah.
Putting that list together, but it's worth it.
I read it every year. I love it.
I was going to say, I actually look forward to that.
I feel like I got a good format with it now.
You do.
I'm gonna stick with it.
You always make sure you text me when you post it. Yeah. I'm like, oh, I'm going to go to it now.
I try to only involve people that I think would enjoy it. But yeah.
No, go for it. I was just going to say, because it is a list.
It is an entire year. Yeah. I call it a diary to make myself feel better.
Yeah.
About how much time I've spent with all that stuff. Yeah. But yeah, it all kind of comes, from just a in desperation and creativity comes brilliance, and this is something that Jeff Gerstmann has made, not just with the website, but also in just the way he carries himself. Like, he's just a cool dude. He just feels like someone that I would hang out with already, like a lot of our friends, and I think that's one of the most charming factors about him. So. Hats off for giving me a lot of years of entertainment and good journalism.
Yeah. Well, hats off to you. Hats off to you.
Yep.
And I also want to thank you because we have Troy now because of you.
Oh. Yeah, Jeff. Ha ha. Take that, suckers.
All right. Well, good Dragon of the Week. And again, unfortunately, that leads us to the end of our episode.
Noises.
Yeah. As always, we record live upstairs inside of Tate's Comics, powered by our friends at 3000 Brigade. Yeah. You can find us online on the everything.
That's right. Check us out on Twitter for some, minute by minute views on things that are going on during the week, and also on Instagram where we have a couple features that you can check in with. Ranking of Dragons, our quest to rank every video game dragon in video game history, and This Week in Gaming History, a look back on the week in gaming history. Wow, explains itself.
It does.
As well as other fun videos and tidbits. So yeah, the fun doesn't stop here.
That's right. And then if you would like to get a link to Troy's lists, just ask us on Instagram. Mm-hmm. He'll send you one.
Oh yeah, it's a good read.
We should put it on our website.
Yeah, we could do that as well.
Yeah.
It's a great.
Or make your own list, huh? Who wants to make a list?
Send us a list.
Yeah. And so very good. And then you can also find us online at tasteofdragons.com for all that fun stuff. Yeah. And then we have our sister podcast, which is Tater Talk, the Tate's Comics website.
And more
podcast.
I enjoyed listening to last week's podcast. I was able to watch I had to stop halfway through, go watch Joker, and then finish it afterwards. So I'll have some words.
Ooh.
Some words.
All
I'm
right.
sure.
All right.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
But I am enjoying your podcast.
All right. Well, thank you. And as always, my name is Brian.
Amanda.
I'm Troy. And that's Joe.
I'm Joe. Sorry about that. I had to move my watch away from the microphone. It started buzzing. I was like, oh, no.
It's okay. It's creating content, Joe. We're fine.
You're welcome.
And that was this week's episode. Have a great week, everyone.
And we are your Taste of
Dragons.
All right. I like it.
That worked out much better than expected.
Yeah.
Well played,
I
everyone.
meant to do that at the beginning
That's
when we
okay.
first say our name.
That's fine.
Did we forget to do that?
Oh, yeah. We only did it once, and it was magical.
No, did we forget to introduce ourselves in the beginning?
Oh, no.
We did it again. We went directly from the...
Well, none of us noticed, though.
Not until we started doing it again, and then Brian looked at me, and I was like,
Uh-oh.
I'm second. Why don't I already know that? Oh.
Right.
No.
Oh, we'll check the tape.
Yeah, it's
See. Maybe we did. Maybe we did. Who knows? My memory's not
If
good.
you guys want, we can do it right now, and then I'm going to still leave this part in the show, but I'll plug it into
Some
the
of
front.
it. Some of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so for the first time, my name is Brian.
Amanda.
I'm Troy.
And I'm Joe. I wanted to make fun of you for messing up your name because, that's a Jen thing. What are you doing?
I was going to say for the first time Troy, but then I went back on the joke. So I just said for the Troy. That's what happened.
It's funny.
It almost sounds like a curse word, so it's staying now.
Troy. My name sounds like a curse word?
No, the
I'm okay with
F
that.
sound. It's funny.
You know what's going to be even better? Joe's going to insert this at the beginning of the episode, and then when people get to the end of the episode, they're like, what are you talking about? That's at the beginning. And then it's going to be the exact same thing at the end.
Loop, loop, loop.
What is this, a Tarantino movie?
It is. It's a looper.
It's a Looper. My favorite Tarantino movie, Looper.
Looper.
Did he make that movie?
No, he didn't.
No.
I was like, wow, I don't remember that movie looking like a Tarantino movie.
No, it
There were
wasn't.
far less N-words in that, in that movie.
The cursing in general.
Can't be Tarantino.
All right, well, have a great week, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.